Okay, good evening, everyone. Super. In 2003, the Save Kali River campaign was launched in North Karnataka, supported by Karwar Marine Biology Center. The campaign began with 16-kilometer Padayatra, led by renowned environmentalist Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Sri Sundarlal Bahugunaji. And at that time, I was pursuing my master's in marine biology, and I had a privilege walking alongside him, listening to his reflections on nature and conservation. And that experience sowed the seed of climate consciousness in me. Over the past 2 decades, this seed has grown into deep commitment to study marine environments. And during that time, means like after that, I got an opportunity to study the different marine environments like Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, tropical Indian Ocean, and now in the coastal waters of Antarctica. During Austral summer of 2022-2023, I was fortunate to be selected as a member of India's 42nd scientific expedition to Antarctica. But getting there wasn't easy. It involved several hurdles. First, your research topic must get accepted to expert reviewers and defend in front of national committee. Once that is clear, the next challenge is to passing the rigorous physical and mental evaluation, which includes medical health and medical examination at AIMS, Delhi. This was followed by high altitude ice and snow acclimatization and mountaineering training at Oli, Uttarakhand under the ITBP force. An intense preparation that helps scientists to evaluate their own limit before entering into the harshest environment of Antarctica. Once all these things were done, all the stages were clear, finally we became the member of scientific expedition to Antarctica. Our journey began in Goa, then to Cape Town, and finally in No Airbase of Antarctica. The moment I stepped onto that blue ice runway, a wave of emotion and excitement ran through it. And from there, we traveled by this piston bully, a different mode of transportation. And Maitri Station, India's research station, which is closer to Novo Airbase. According to our itinerary, we were supposed to spend 2 days at Maitri before heading to the final destination, that is Bharti Station, around 10 hours journey by Bachelor aircrafts with a refueling stop in the middle at Japanese Station. But however, Antarctica had a different itinerary for us. Due to bad weather, our transfer from Maitri to Bharti got delayed, not just for a day or two, but 21 days. And that's where the real Antarctic experience began. Unpredictability, isolation, and of course, a humble reminder from nature's power. Now, the dealing with this 21 days was a tough challenge, but somehow we engaged ourselves with the station activities like sweeping, cleaning, mopping the stations, going to the library, reading books, and just remove the books and arrange them properly. Okay. And station people, they call it the terminology for this work is a Shramadan. But believe me, this Ramadan was a Vardhan for us to deal with that 21 days. On 22nd day, a narrow window of fair weather opened, and we just immediately flew from Maitri to Bharti journey. An unforgettable journey through that unforgivable terrain of Antarctica. Once we were there in Bharti, we had no time to take rest or get settled in. The time was tight. So we have to push ourselves. The very next morning, we started with our sampling campaign. Our team's task was to survey and collect the samples from the sea ice and the water underneath. The sea ice was around 1.5 meter thick, and the water underneath was around 200 to 500 meter deep. And for the first time, Indian team was attempting such observations in Antarctic sea ice. Believe me, walking on the frozen sea, drilling through the sea ice, and peering into the life forms was a dreamlike experience. And whenever I shared this experience, the question I'm often asked is why to take such risky and expensive journey just to collect few samples? Why Antarctica? Why it matters? Well, we all know climate change is real and the effects are visible. Prolonged droughts, irregular seasons, unpredictable monsoons, and now recently we have seen the devastating floods. But on the other side of that, we often hear the nature-based ecosystems which helps to mitigate the climate issues. Ecosystems like mangrove, seagrass, and salt marshes, they act as a natural carbon sink. And India, with its 11,000-kilometer coastline, is rich in these ecosystems. Even in our Goa, with its 100-kilometer of coastline, it hosts all these three ecosystems. But alarming truth is this, that these ecosystems are degrading rapidly. As they vanish, the carbon they once trapped is getting released back into the atmosphere, intensifying the very problem once they try to solve. It's bad, right? And it's worrisome also. But here lies the paradox. What happens while some of these natural ecosystems are disappearing, the other ecosystems are emerging silently, particularly in coastal waters of Antarctica. And our recent study, based on over 20 years of satellite derived data, which shows there is a biomass expansion in the coastal waters of Antarctica. And that biomass expansion is around up to 30%. But this data, satellite data was believing the satellite data was not enough. So we wanted ground truth validation for that. We wanted real sample from the field. And that's why I proposed this project that would take me to Antarctica, where I could drill through the sea ice and observe what is underneath. And what we discovered was fascinating. Our in situ observations revealed a unique life strategy among this microscopic life that grows underneath the sea ice. And these life forms an extensive mat-like structure. Okay. And when during the summer, when the complete sea ice melts, what the sea ice I was talking about, 1.5 meter thick, it completely melts, and the more sunlight penetrates into the deeper water, and these microscopic life, they explode into massive blooms. That in turn sustains the high trophic level organisms like zooplankton or other benthic organisms. Now, some of these benthic organisms have a very lengthy lifespan, and now they are getting benefited with this new surge of primary productivity, the expansion what I was talking about. And if they have a potential to become a long-term carbon storage if left undisturbed. So what message I can bring from the end of the earth, while global warming or climate change is causing devastation across the globe, it also triggers some of the unexpected ecological responses. And to study or to understand these responses is very crucial, not for just knowledge, but to shape the future climate strategies rooted in science. Believe me, Antarctica or polar areas are not just distant, isolated worlds. What happens there echoes across the globe. And if we fail to react, the consequences will be irreversible and affecting the generations to come. And perhaps, just perhaps, the answer to some of our most pressing environmental challenges lie buried in cold silence underneath the Antarctic sea ice. So it's about time we listen, we understand, and act together for a better future. Thank you.